Hello, this is Doink Daddy, but you might know me as Let's Read. This is an invitation to the one they call See Mustard. Me and a few narrators from YouTube would like you to join us at this year's super secret annual narrator meeting. We would like to discuss the clearly not scary but truly hilarious stories you've so recklessly unleashed upon the horror community. If you would like to RSVP, please respond to the link below. If not, this message will self-delete in 24 hours. Thank you.
It's been 3 days since I received that message. I decided to email Joel and see exactly who would be attending. After a few hours, he responded. And amongst those in attendance, one stood out immediately. And that would be Southern Cannibal. For those of you who don't remember, me and Canny had a wild few weeks. Long story short, I used one of his thumbnails, and then he held me captive for weeks, until I won my freedom in a boxing match against Nightmare Expo. Anyways, I told Joel I wasn't trying to see him, and said I'd have to decline. Joel responded a few minutes later and said it might be awkward, but it could also be a great opportunity to squash the beef. And then he said quack. He also told me StamperTv would be doing his new comedy routine, and I would be a goddamn fool to miss it. I agreed with all the points and decided I'd go. Joel sent me the address and date, and I booked a flight to Monte Rio, California. As the weeks passed, I became curious. Why would Joel and all the narrators going want to meet me? At the time, I only had 3,000 subscribers, and almost everyone besides Joel ignored my attempts at collaborating. Perhaps they realized my potential and decided it's time to put me on. Hell yeah, I thought to myself. After what felt like 7 years of anticipation, the day of the retreat finally arrived. My flight was terrible. I foolishly decided to fly Frontier, and followed by a 6-hour delay, I also lost my luggage. I was annoyed, but luckily had enough clothing in my carry-on for the trip, so I just called an Uber and let it go. After 10 minutes of waiting, I was greeted by a Middle Eastern man named Taji, and we made our way to the retreat. So what brings you to Cali, my friend? Taji said. Well, a couple of narrators on YouTube hit me up, and apparently they want to talk to me about how awesome I am as a narrator. Ah, very good. May I hear one of your stories? Taji asked me. I said yeah and told him my name. He then searched me up and started to play a video. 3 minutes into a Nighthawk story, Taji told me I need to seek medical help and to get the fuck out of his car. I thought he was joking, so I started to laugh. He then pulled a gun on me and said scram. I exited the vehicle 12 miles from the retreat, and with no money left, I had to walk. I arrived a few hours later and the place was empty. I thought, maybe Joel sent the wrong address. As I went to email Joel, someone began to scream my name. Hey Mustard, see Mustard, it's me. Let's read. It was the first time I'd seen Joel, and I was surprised to find out that he was black. What up, nigga? Joel said. I'm glad you made it. Now come on and I'll introduce you to everyone else. We walked across the field and into the woods. Joel then led me to a log cabin. We entered the cabin and Joel called for everyone to come over. Your maker, B. Buster, come over here and meet this guy C. Mustard. He's hilarious. The two came over to us and we shook hands, and then they began to compliment me. Dude, your story about Big Cheese was great. True literature, B. Buster said. Thanks, man. That one was pretty good. Your maker told me his favorite story was the one about Tekashi 6ix9ine, and I said that one was hilarious. He then said he's not gay, but he told me I was the most handsome man he's ever seen. It was a little awkward of a compliment, but I just said thanks. We continued talking about my channel and how amazing I was, when somebody began to yell at me. What the fuck are you doing here? I looked over to find Southern Cannibal, and he wasn't happy. I invited him, Joel said. And why the hell did you do that? Southern Cannibal asked Joel. So we can finally end this nigga once and for all, somebody said from the shadows. I looked towards where the voice was coming from, and from the dark appeared Nightmare Expo. What are you talking about, Nightmare? Joel said, confused. I'm talking about revenge. Years ago, this son of a bitch cheated, and I lost the only boxing match of my career. I could have been the next Jake Paul, and now I'm just Nexpo. Joel continued to look confused, and then asked if StamperTv was still doing his new comedy routine. Nexpo said of course. Joel gave a sigh of relief and said thank God. But I don't understand, Joel said. I thought we were going to help Mustard establish himself as a narrator and show him how to be successful. That was just a ruse, Nexpo said. Joel looked hurt, but in the distance he could hear StamperTv starting his comedy routine. Aw shit, y'all. I'm about to miss Stamper. Let's Read, Your Maker, and B. Buster all left the cabin, and they headed over to the stage StamperTv was performing on. Nexpo then pulled out a knife and asked me if I was ready to die. Before I could answer, Southern Cannibal interrupted. Look, Nightmare, I want to kill this guy just as much as you do, but it would be just terrible if we missed Stamper's comedy routine. Nexpo agreed. He then pulled out a gun and told me after we watched Stamper that we'd finish what we started. We made our way to the stage, and Stamper was midway through his comedy routine.
Anyway, so the dude is chilling at a restaurant, right? Stop me if you heard this one. So the waiter comes up and says, "What would you like to eat, sir?" So then homie goes, "I'd like some lasagna, please." Then the waiter says, "Oh, I'm sorry, sir, this is a Chinese restaurant." So homie goes, "Ah, 对不起，我很抱歉. I wanted to eat."
Stamper continued his hilarious comedy routine when Nexpo and Southern Cannibal became riddled with laughter. This guy is hilarious, Nexpo said. Yeah, he's my favorite YouTuber. I've been a fan since he first started, Southern Cannibal told Nexpo. They began laughing so hard that StamperTv became aware of our presence.
Goddamn, player. Looks like you guys are having a good-ass time.
Nexpo and Southern Cannibal looked at each other in disbelief. Did he just acknowledge us? Nexpo said while fanning his face with his hands. You're goddamn right he did. It was then Stamper recognized who I was.
Is that my boy C. Mustard? Homie, you're fucking hilarious, son, and a total badass. Why don't you come on stage and bring your boys up, too?
Nexpo and Southern Cannibal looked at me with amazement, and then we made our way onto the stage.
So who's your ugly ass, busted ass friends?
StamperTv said. Well, they're not really my friends, but this is Nexpo and his friend Southern Cannibal.
Oh shit, man, I love that fucking story. These are those dudes that are famous for eating ass.
Everyone in attendance began to laugh at Southern Cannibal, even Nexpo. Southern Cannibal became filled with rage. He then grabbed Nexpo's gun, and everyone began to freak out as Southern Cannibal fired 3 shots into the air.
Well, I think I'm good. Time to go.
StamperTv said. He then whistled, and after a brief moment, a horse came running towards the stage. StamperTv then jumped on and made his way towards the exit. This will be the last time you ever make a fool out of me, Southern Cannibal said. He then called me a son of a bitch. He then aimed his gun at me. I told Southern Cannibal I had kids, but he didn't care. Nexpo, to my surprise, told Southern Cannibal to relax. Look, Kenny, if StamperTv thinks this guy's pretty cool, maybe we should let him go. Southern Cannibal looked at Nexpo and told him to shut the fuck up. He then fired 3 shots into Nexpo's stomach. Kenny, why? Nexpo said while falling to his knees. To be honest, Nexpo, I've always thought you were a pretentious jackass. Kenny then fired 1 more shot into Nexpo's face, killing him instantly. God damn, I said. Southern Cannibal then raised his gun towards me and told me to kiss my ass goodbye. I closed my eyes and thought about my kids. I then heard 17 gunshots, and when I opened my eyes, I found Southern Cannibal dead. Somebody go check his pulse, one of the policemen said. One of the officers ran towards Southern Cannibal, and after a moment, he confirmed he was dead. He then called for an ambulance, and they all made sure I was okay. It's been 2 years since that retreat. I haven't spoken to Joel since. For whatever reason, he blames me for what happened that night. And although that made me upset, I respected his wishes to end contact. I happened to run into StamperTv afterwards too, and he said I was still hilarious, and he wasn't upset about what happened at all. So, Southern Cannibal, let's not meet again. But if we do, maybe we should collaborate or something.